Hello there. Thank you for joining me and welcome to Whole Brain Healing Show on Self Care Friday. Now, this is part three of a three-part Ayurveda with Holistic Living. And we're doing this in conjunction with Self Care Friday of the Be Well series. So, for those of you joining in for the very first time, welcome to the Be Well COVID-19 Free Wellbeing series. I'm joining from Singapore and I'm a positive hypnotherapist, also known as the Superpower Activator. I use positive psychology tools and hypnotherapy to empower people to live whole brain strength based living. So, our brain is at the wellspring of our feelings, behavior, and experiences. Besides developing your character and your prevalent strengths, learning how to tap on all the potential of your brain unleashes our best and strongest self. Therapy can support us in feeling whole again to make unleashing our strengths into the world more compelling. So, join in my conversations with experts in neuroscience, holistic living, and in psychotherapy in this show, Whole Brain and Healing. This Be Well COVID-19 Free Wellbeing series is in alignment and in support of the World Health Organization. Stay in alignment with your well-being and be supported by our Be Well series. We are doing this to support your well-being in this pandemic, and more importantly, because we believe that you deserve a flourishing life and you have what it takes to achieve that. And we are here to support you. So this is our promise in joy. So please share this Facebook Live now with your friends so that we can all be well and be strong together. And this is how we're going to deliver our promise of support. It includes the Strengths and Joy podcast, which is available on Anchor FM and on Spotify. We are healthy, well, and connected Facebook page. There is a Strengths and Joy podcast Facebook group, and we have the Superpact Joy Link YouTube channel. We have new content on Super Monday, Resilient Wednesday, and Self Care Friday on this page, Superpact with Joy Method. We also have some shows like the Strengths with Joy show, Whole Brain and Healing show, which is this one, and Celebrating She is Strong. Make your Monday super powered with me by exploring how to develop your strengths. And in this pandemic, resilience is the name of the game. So apply science-based research finding into actionable strategies that you can apply to make yourself more resilient and to also share that with your family and friends. Let's be pandemic proof together. On Self Care Friday is when we learn tools and techniques that we can apply for ourselves whenever we feel stressed. Take responsibility for your own self care and for those under your care. We have a Strengths with Joy show where we chat with positive psychology experts on how they have been using positive psychology in their work and in their daily life. So remember to share this free support resource with your family and friends. Share this Facebook Live now so that we can all learn about self-care together. A bit Women are phenomenal and amazingly strong in the way that they activate their strengths daily, faithfully, in loving service of others, often at the expense of neglecting themselves. It is time to celebrate this phenomenal woman that we live with, work with, and come in contact with. The Celebrating She Is Strong show is an acknowledgement to them for their contributions to all. Welcome to Self Care Friday, where we learn tools and techniques to apply for ourselves whenever we feel stressed. So, our theme for Fridays is self care. So, because of that, I would like to invite you to take a moment now to check in on yourself and get in touch with your emotions. And only by labeling our feelings can we get in touch with our well being and know if there is any unmet needs that we should be addressing. So, let this feeling will support you in this exercise. Take a good look at the wheel and pick a word from the outermost circle that best describes how you're feeling right now. So today is part three, where we have the privilege of having Vasanthi with us again. So I am just going to share very briefly her bio. I think lots of you are familiar with her by now. So Vasanthi Pillay is the director of Innergy Ayurveda and Yoga Private Limited and the founder and president of the Ayurveda Association of Singapore. She has delivered talks and workshops in Singapore and in Asia for MNCs, tertiary institutions, and government boards such as like Morgan Stanley, Singapore National Library, Malaysia Medical Association, Nanhua University from Taiwan, and Hong Kong Academy of Neuropathology. Vasanthi also sits in the academic committee of the Hong Kong Academy of Neuropathy, and she has also been awarded the Dharma Award for Excellence in promoting the scientific awareness of Ayurveda by the Association of Ayurvedic Professionals of North America. So I'll leave it to her to share more of herself with you. So this is a three-part series. And in the first series, we talk about Ayurveda with holistic health. And 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Ayurveda Part 2, which is Ayurveda with Prana. And today, we're going to dive into something that is definitely very relevant, because if you get hungry and have to eat every day, then this session is definitely applicable to you. Today, we're going to talk about Part 3, Ayurveda and Holistic Nutrition. Are you really what you eat? And is counting calories the right healthy perspective to maintaining a healthy weight? So, Vasanthi will answer all these questions and more. So, please help me to welcome Vasanthi. Hi, Vasanthi. Welcome back.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for having me yet again.
Yes, yet again. Yes, so we need to tap more onto the magnificent wisdoms that you have, this time in the direction of holistic nutrition.
Sure.
So let's dive straight in. Can you share with us what is the difference between Ayurvedic nutrition and conventional nutrition?
Okay, that's a very good question because Ayurveda nutrition never focuses on calories, right? Conventional nutrition is always about calorie and one solution that everyone can apply. Ayurveda says everyone has unique body type, so what works for you may not work for me. And then we'll have to think about that particular quotation that says one man's meat is another man's poison. This is what probably it means. So, calorie counting will not work for everyone because Ayurveda talks about body type. So, generically speaking, you have the body type of Vata that's made of space and air. Their digestive fire is not as strong as a person of Pitta body type that's just purely
Hmm.
has a lot of fire in them. Then you have another body type. So, if I'm going to give 2000 calories to three different body types, not everyone is going to be able to digest all the 2000 calorie. Kapha
Hmm.
body type, they have more of water and earth element in their body. Now, when you have more water and earth, there's less fire. So when I put food in there, heavy food or 2000 calories, the earth and water element with less fire is going to take longer to digest as opposed to someone who already has fire in their body. So the fire in their
Hmm.
body plus the food, they can digest it faster. So Ayurveda doesn't just focus on calories. It focuses everything is on body type. Are you capable of digesting the food? That's the key question they ask. According to Ayurveda, all the food in the universe is actually has medicinal property, including sand, right? But sand, maybe it's used for treatment, bodily treatment with mix with some herbs. So literally every item in the universe has healing property. How you use it is very important. Who can use it is also important. When you use it and for what condition you use it. So when we talk about eating food, the key is the digestive fire, right? So in Ayurveda, they call it Agni. Now, some people try and correlate it with enzymes, but enzyme is not correct. It's partially true of the bodily enzyme because Agni is what you are able to digest, including thoughts digestion, right?
Hmm.
So, when someone is talking about something, a very heavy topic, some people can catch it very easily, they can digest it immediately. So, that's the thought digestion, the Agni that's happening, right? Or if let's say after a heavy day, heavy meal, then they call it in a conference company in the graveyard period, between one after lunch to give a talk. Everyone is so tired because the Agni is very low. So much of food is in there. The Agni is trying to digest the food, and then whatever the speaker is saying is just like phew. They can't digest. So, enzyme is not correlated 100% with Agni, but Agni is that capability of transforming whatever is ingested in the body. So calorie counting it's not something that Ayurveda looks at.
Mm. Yes,
Does that
so I
answer?
yes, so that reminds me why Ayurveda is considered holistic, because you don't just look at the thing, right, like the calories, but you look at the whole holistic. What body type are you? It's not about the calories, but what body type are you? And it's not just about digestion of the body, but it's also about digestion of the mind, right? So again, like it just continuously take on the holistic perspective, and which is one of the things I'm very appreciative about in Ayurveda. It also remind me myself in my daily life to take the whole picture into frame rather than being fixated with the minor details. So I know that another point is about the processing, how the body process the food.
Yes. So how the body processes food, also you have to take into consideration a person's age. So a young child, right, from a young age, you can see the child will be eating 6, 7, 8 times a day. Now, when
Mm,
we are teenagers, our eating habit might be different based on, again, the work that we do. But you will notice elderly people will always say they are not hungry, because for them the digestion is a bit on the lower side. The fire is not as good. So that's very important when we are talking about processing the food, because you cannot just chuck food when the fire is very low. So an
mm,
elderly person, like now everyone is talking about brown rice. Now brown rice, according to Ayurveda, is fantastic provided you are able to digest the food. So if you notice in a rice cooker, Ayurveda always uses the principle as treat your body as though it's like the kitchen fire, you're cooking food, right? Your stomach is also cooking the food. Now, when you want to put if you're cooking brown rice versus normal basmati rice in the kitchen, right? Which one takes longer to cook? Brown rice takes longer to cook, right?
mm,
So the same principle applies for our stomach. Now, when I put brown rice in my body, it takes longer for the brown rice to be digested. Now, if my digestive fire is very low, then brown rice is not good for me at this point in time. I need to correct my digestive fire, either by herbs, either by spices, either by cleansing or whatever technique. First, correct the digestive fire and then eat the brown rice. Because if I say brown rice is good, but my digestive fire is very low, then I put brown rice, the rice is going to even further subdue the fire. And what is supposed to be healthy becomes toxic for the body. So, first and foremost, the body must be able to digest the food. It has to be able to assimilate it into the cells. You see, every cell has receptors, and the receptors have all these nutrients that will have go and bind to it. So once it binds, and then the receptor will open, and then it has to go in. Now, if it's all closed with toxins, no point eating something organic, right? If every
mm,
cell is covered with toxicity, so it's called ama. If it's covered with toxicity, I can put the healthiest food, but it's still not going to be absorbed into the cell, right? So digestion, absorption, assimilation are all part and parcel of what Ayurveda looks at, because it's not just the food separate, but how your body is responding to that you are putting
mm,
in. That is the key. And it has to be usable body parts, right? So if I put something in and I say, oh, this is organic brown rice, it's fantastic, but my cells are all covered with toxin. This food that is so called organic in the external environment, once I put into the body, it is not digested. So it becomes what they call partially digested food. Now, when it's partially digested, it's called ama, as in toxin, which then circulates in the blood system because it's not being absorbed into the blood. So then we will say that even though brown rice in this condition is healthy, because of the toxicity, because of the low agni, this brown rice has not become a usable part for the body. Whatever I eat has to be usable. has to be constructive. If it's not usable and it then circulates as toxin, then it becomes more armor.
So how would we know if what we are taking in, what we're ingesting, is fully used?
Okay, so good question. You will know by certain condition, like as soon as you eat. After eating, do you feel very tired and lethargic and you need to sleep? Because if that's the case, then the body is indicating to you that the fire is very low. That's one indicator, right? If you're constantly doing this to the body, then the body's fire keeps getting lower and lower and lower. So these are some of the theoretical aspects of it. I can give some practical tools on how first to ignite your digestive fire. And once
Mm.
you ignite it, then you can start putting food in there.
Oh, that's an excellent point because it's practical, and yeah, I think that's really the right direction. So, can we do to enhance or to support our digestive fire?
Okay, so before going into that, I just want to highlight that Ayurveda talks about 6 days, right? When you correlate that, all the 6 days will have your carbohydrate, your fats, your minerals, everything that is in that will be in the 6 days, right? So the first 3 tastes are called sweet, sour, and salty. Now, sweet, sour, salty, the next three would be pungent, bitter, astringent. The first three are anabolic in nature. That means they build the body tissue. The last three are catabolic in nature because they need to then break down all the waste product and assimilate and eliminate from the body. So we need to make
Mm.
sure that we have all 6 days when we are eating. This is what is considered a holistic nutrition in an Ayurveda concept. So everyone should have 6 days, but based on your body type. Let's say I have too much of fire in my body, then I cut down on the pungent taste, the spicy food. If I
Mm.
have too much of dryness in my body, then I cut down on my dryness and add more unctuous oiliness to balance it. So that's how they look at the 6 days. So when Ayurveda looks at nutrition, they don't look at calories, they look at the body type, they look at the digestive capacity, and they look at the 6 days. Now,
Mm.
to answer your question about what can I do, right, to improve the digestive fire, or to make sure that whatever I eat becomes usable for the body. First things first, which I think Singaporeans are going to have a lot of challenge accepting this: eat only when you are hungry.
I think some can start watching already.
Now, the principle here is because again the body has digestive fire at the stomach, at the body tissues, at all the different layers, as well as what they call the subtle body also it has, right? Now when there's no fire in the body doesn't need food. The only reason we eat is actually when the body needs the energy. So you notice children, they are eating so many times because they're playing. They need to replenish that energy. Now, when in the pandemic period, you notice a lot of people are just seated, not moving much at all. Now, if you're just sitting all the time and you're eating heavy to digest food and it's taking longer to digest. So, let's say breakfast, I eat something very heavy. I wake up late. I eat something heavy, which you're not supposed to eat during breakfast time. You're supposed to have light food. Then I'm not hungry at all and I go and put food in my stomach. There is no fire to actually digest that food. So the way we need to do is become aware. Ayurveda and yoga is all about awareness. Feel. Can you really feel the hunger in your body? Right? So if you're not hungry, then you eat a small piece of ginger, fresh ginger, right? So it will,
Ginger.
fresh ginger.
When you're not hungry.
Yeah, when you don't feel hungry, the ginger will stimulate the digestive fire, will help digest the food that is already in your stomach.
So
So
this is
either,
a raw ginger or cooked.
yeah, you can have, so a person who already has a lot of heat, they shouldn't take raw ginger, right? They can perhaps cook it a little bit, in the food, add more ginger in
Mm.
the food when they cook, right? So that they stimulate the digestive fire. So when you add this ginger, you are actually adding that, stimulating the digestive fire. Only when the fire is there can you actually put food. The example that Ayurveda gives is, let's say you want to lit up a log, you want to cook food. In ancient time, they didn't have an oven, right? They had logs, fire. When the fire is low, you need to make sure you blow and you stimulate and get the fire a bit on the stronger side. When the fire is
Mm.
very low, when I put a heavy log or a wet log in it, the fire will diminish, right? The same
Mm.
principle will apply. When I have very low fire, I'm not hungry, and I put something very heavy, the fire is going to diminish. So I
Mm.
first need to stimulate that fire. And if there's no fire, two things. One, you're not hungry, the body doesn't need that energy. It already has all the energy. Two, you could maybe have ama, right? Ama is a toxin. You need to clear that. So when you
So
eat,
the
yeah,
ginger also help to clear the toxin.
oh yes. So ginger
Ah.
is called, there's a phrase called pachana and pachaka. Pachana means it stimulates. Pachaka means it eats up the toxin. So imagine this is your cell. Your cell is covered with toxin, right? All the every day we have all this little toxin. It's already covered. So the receptors are all covered. Now, what happens with the digestive fire, according to the Ayurveda, is first thing it will look for is something to eat. And if there's nothing in the stomach to eat, it will go and eat up all this toxin that's surrounding the tissue, that's surrounding the cell. So once the toxins are all eaten up, then your cells are all clean and healthy. So imagine that, let me just give you an example, right? So this is the toxin covered here on my cell, right? So if the toxins is covered, the cell is not going to absorb anything. When I'm hungry, I wait a few minutes. Waiting the few minutes, the digestive juice will go in there, start eating, and then remove all the toxins. Now the cell is very clear and fresh to absorb the nutrients. So that's why you should eat only when you're hungry. So first line, the digestive fire, the digestive juice will eat the toxin. Now, if you wait too long, it will start going eating the muscles. That's when people start having anorexia, right? So you must know when you mustn't be too hungry. You must just feel a little bit of hunger. You still continue not putting food in the stomach, like fasting, it will start eating up the prana, the energy. So people will start feeling so tired and
Mm.
exhausted. So there is a fine balance being knowing when you are hungry and when you're starving.
Mm.
Shouldn't bring to a point when you're starving. Eat only when you're hungry. So you feel. You're feeling the digestive fire. Close your eyes, feel the awareness, and then start eating. So that's one technique.
Okay, eat only when you're hungry. Sounds simple. I think very challenging for Malaysian and Singaporean, but still good starting point. So what's next? What other tips do you have?
This is again, eat only when the previous meal has been digested. All right. So the example Ayurveda gives is, say for example, I'm cooking food. I'm cooking rice. The rice is partially being cooked in a cooker. Your friend calls and say, "Hey Joy," or you call and say, "Vasanthi, I want to come over to your place," and I realize I only am cooking for one person. Now you and Kev want to come over. I need to cook extra rice. While this rice is cooking, when I put raw rice into this partially cooked rice, what will happen?
Rojak rice.
The, the partially cooked rice will not cook. The raw rice also will not be cooked, right? Both of them will be ruined. So the same
Mm.
thing happens in our stomach. If I already have a meal in my stomach, like, we say after a full meal, we say, come, let's go and have prata. Let's go and have something else to eat. The food is already not completely digested. When you put something else on it, the partially cooked food with the newly arrived food is going to create havoc. it's going to worsen your digestive capacity. You see, everybody is talking about gut health now. So Ayurveda say eat only when you are hungry. So I think half of your audience would have tuned off
Would
by
have
now.
left, yeah, left. Okay. So those who are still here, give yourself a pat on the back. Well done. Let's hope. Okay. So you did survive. There's more tips, yeah. So this is only the first two. So stay on. Okay. So what's the next tip, Vasanthi?
The third one is never, ever, 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 ever drink cold drinks
Okay,
before.
those of you who love cold water, especially in this hot climax, this is a big one for you. No cold water before or after any meal.
Yes, again, the same principle apply. When I have fire, right, it's just all burning. I put water on the fire. What happens to the fire? It's doused, right?
Mm.
Once the fire is gone, nothing is going to be that. I can't cook anything in the oven. So I need to have the fire there. Now, cold water, even normal water is not recommended. So
Mm.
before you eat, you should first learn to stimulate the fire. So you can have warm ginger water, not a lot. Sip warm ginger water, feel the digestion, feel it, then eat your meal. Right? So that's one thing you can do. You can have ginger
So,
boiled.
warm ginger water before the meal.
Yes, if let's say you
Oh.
don't feel hungry, like I said, you can have a piece of ginger. Now I read somewhere it seems Confucius used to eat a piece of ginger before every meal. Maybe that's why
Oh,
it's Confucius, right? So
wow.
we all start doing that. We all can become Confucius. We can come up with wonderful quotes, right?
That's
So,
attractive.
or there's another one called cumin seed. You know what's cumin seed?
Cumin seed, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So
what do we do with the cumin seed?
a teaspoon of cumin seed, you boil a little bit, right? Bring it to warm. When it's warm, you can sip that as well. So cumin seed has the tendency, has the capability of that of stimulating digestive fire. See, cooking is actually an art. It's not like this food is bad. This food has too much of dryness. When it has too much of dryness, you add some oil to it so it balances off. So cumin seed you add to dal like protein. Protein has a lot of gas. So when you add cumin seed to Indian cooking, the dal, when you're doing the cooking, what you're doing is adding more fire because protein is more difficult to digest. So adding cumin seed to the ghee also stimulates your digestive fire. Then you add the dal. That's the purpose why you add all these spices and ingredients to actually stimulate the cooking, to make sure all six tastes are there and to balance off what has too much of gas, to if there's too much of spiciness. Even Asian cooking, this is not mentioned in Ayurveda, but our grandmothers use common sense. So nasi lemak is not mentioned in Ayurveda, right? But nasi lemak, what is it, the side? It's a lot of chili, right? Nasi lemak dish, nasi lemak is
Yes.
chili. But the rice is sweet, and the rice they add coconut. So coconut rice balance off the spiciness. So this is
Mm.
the art of cooking. So that our grandmothers, the Malays, never knew of Ayurveda, but they knew of the balancing of, right? So the digestive fire, if it's not there, you stimulate it and then you balance. So the cumin seed drink is very good. So sometimes when you go some Indian restaurant, while you order food, they will give you warm cumin water for you to stimulate
Mm.
your fire. That's the purpose. But it
Mm.
should never be cold. It should never be room temperature. All right.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. So you can sip warm water throughout the meal. But for the Chinese and Indians, I notice when I go to Taiwan, they actually have soup. So the soup you can have. You can sip the soup and then you eat. The soup also you notice will have some ginger, garlic, and all that's for stimulating, and it's warm. So it should always be warm. The drink should be warm, but never gulp. So you have a mouthful and then you chew it. They say 32 times because you have 32 teeth. But that's because the salivary amylase will help digest the food at this
Mm.
level, carbohydrates, right? So the more you digest, and then you can start tasting the food. But don't go back and say, okay, I'm not used to chewing 32 times. Since Vasanthi said 32 times, you chew, chew, chew until it all starts spilling. Don't do that, right? Chew up to the capacity, right? So chew, become more aware, and then swallow the food. Feel the taste. That's another thing. When you chew the food 32 times, that also helps with the digestion and also makes you not want to stuff food, not eat too much.
So not overeating. Okay.
Yeah. The next
It just get
one,
more and more challenging.
okay, maybe before going on to the more challenging one, I'll tell you with something else lah, that people all say, okay, okay, I'll stay on and watch it. Okay. Food, food has prana. Prana is life force, right? Food is what I eat. So you are what you eat, you are what you digest. So if I look at the skin, whatever I eat gets digested, gets transformed, and become my skin. It becomes my eyes, it becomes my teeth, it becomes my digestion, it becomes my tissue, it becomes my cell. So food is me, and this is given to me by the universe, right? The universe has created that whole Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is sustaining the human with this food. So this consciousness should come in, and Ayurveda makes it very clear, because this is what becomes you. You should never ever waste food. So don't go to this buffet and start piling up food. If you go to the buffet, actually buffet is not recommended in Ayurveda. All right. So that comes to the next point. No, because now we are talking about gut health. We are talking about immune system. We are talking about how to preserve the body, right? How to live long. You see, living a long life is what Ayurveda is all about. But no point living a long and unhealthy life.
You're not healthy.
You have to be
Yes.
healthy. And the way to be healthy is taking care of your digestion, right? So wasting food is also another thing that Ayurveda never recommends, because you're basically telling universe, I don't care for you. The universe is saying, look, I care for you. I put you on planet Earth. I care for you by giving you Mother Earth. I care for you by giving you plants. The plants are also feeding you as well as giving you oxygen. I give you animals, right? You want those who are non-vegetarian, they can also have that. So I give you all this. If you waste it, you are disrespecting it, right? So imagine I come, you invite me to your house, right? And then I eat and I just throw away the food. You very sweetly come and give me something and I just push it away. How would you feel?
Sad. Yeah.
Sad, insulted. You'll say,
Mm.
"Never mind, I won't invite Basanti again. She doesn't know how to appreciate." So this is, if you don't waste food, you're appreciating. So life is all about gratitude. Feel very thankful and grateful. Even if you don't do your gratitude prayers, just don't waste food. And this is something I think parents need to teach children. Absolutely need to teach children. And there are, Ayurveda philosophy is based on what I call Upanishads, right? A lot of Upanishad food. And there's one Upanishad called Taittiriya Upanishad, which actually has an entire chapter about not wasting food. It says you need to respect your mother, you need to respect your father, you need to respect your teacher, you need to respect guests, you need to respect food. Right? So you see where it puts food in the same place as your guru, as your teacher. Guests are also considered someone you respect a lot. Now, this is something I learned from my mother. Anyone who comes to the house should never leave the house without drinking water or eating. My mother will make sure that they do. And when I read some of the Ayurveda texts or some of the Indian philosophy, I can understand. And in Indian custom, the Tamils, I remember some of the movies. If I fight with you, the greatest insult I can give you is I will never drink a sip of water in your house. That is the greatest
Wow.
insult I can give you. That shows how much they value food. Do you understand? And there are so many stories of householders actually not eating first but serving the guests. Or that my mother made sure. Sometimes we have unexpected guests, and if they come lunchtime, my mother will offer food, and we all will not should not eat. Let the guest eat first. We can go and grab some bread or something like that. Always guests must eat first. They must feel satisfied, and then the host can eat later. That's always been the tradition. Now it's all like me, myself, and I. That's the kind of culture we are living in, right? So this, I think, can be practiced very easily, right?
Yes, gratitude for food. Yes, definitely. So,
Respect.
so what about the when we eat? Should we eat till we are full?
Okay, that's another good question. You should eat only up to three-quarter of the stomach. That's food. Now, why is it? Let's say this is my stomach, right? Actually, they say the stomach is the size of your own fist. Now, when you look at the buffet, you're seeing it's like that. So the stomach, once the food goes in, the stomach will chew, right? The stomach will be doing this to try and digest the food. So if I eat until I'm full, the stomach has to expand a little bit, give it space so that it can chew, right? So when it
Mm.
expands, we say, I got more space. I put some more food in there. So when you put some more food in there, the stomach has to expand even more. That's when we get the fatty stomach. Because the stomach has to expand in order to chew the food. The
Mm.
purpose it's expanding is to chew the food that you already put in there. It's not
Not to put more in.
yeah, it's not expanding for you to put more in there. I mean, this is very interesting. It's been an interesting journey for me to see how Ayurveda talks about food. And even when I look at how my mother, she never learned Ayurveda. I don't come from an Ayurveda family, but she has been practicing all this as well, right? Another thing she did, which Ayurveda talks about, is when you cook food, cook with love. My mother absolutely hated it when we go and pick a quarrel with her or when we ask a serious question where it comes to a heated argument. She's always said, when I'm cooking, don't disturb me, don't come and irritate me. So she never likes to be angry. When she cooks with so much of love. And I can tell you one thing, Joy, many people who have tasted my mother's cooking said that it tastes wonderful. My mother is, honestly, I'm not saying it because she's my mother. She's one of the best cook. She's never started a restaurant, but her food has so much of love in it, which was intangible. But we all just love that food, right?
Mm.
So another one is cooking, cook with love so that it will also nourish the person who's eating.
Mm. So it sounds like your mother cook from a place of love, and to her, it's such a sacred activity. It's like a love in action, isn't it? And she passed the blessing along to the family by cooking with love, right? Or with her own hands, and making sure that she's not interrupted when she's in the process as well. So speaking about love, one of the tip that you mentioned made me think of love. One of the points
Which
about
one
what
is
you should do before you eat. I thought that was the most curious point for me. Can you elaborate on that one?
the one that you should do before you eat?
Yes.
Be very grateful and thankful, right? Now, many religion have, they do prayers before eating. The prayer is nothing other than gratitude. So before you eat, don't put the food in there and immediately start eating. That's why they say meetings and all, you shouldn't eat when just sit down for a while and be grateful from the deepest core of your heart. The Indians will say when you give donation, right? Donation is known as dhanam. Of all the dhanam, I can give you money. When I give money, the person can always say, I want more. When I give you housing, shelter, everything, the person can say, I want more. Everything they can want more. But you give food until the stomach is full, they will say, enough, no more. So the dhanam, anna is food. Anna dhanam is the greatest donation. Where a person is feeling complete and full, that's the gratitude that they are feeling. When they say enough, no more. So that's why they say of all the donations, giving food is the ultimate donation for the Indians, right? So if you want to help the poor
Mm.
people and all, serve them food. That's the ultimate donation. And when you are eating, eating with absolute gratitude, because there are so many children starving in the world. There's so many people who do not have food. You may have something simple. I was thinking about COVID. People were complaining, oh, that don't have this food, that don't have that food, don't have bubble tea. Be thankful at least you have water in the tap to drink when there are children dying without even water, right? So doesn't matter you don't have bubble tea. Doesn't matter you don't have your 5-star restaurant. I don't like going to these 5 stars and all because it's more the ambience, not the food. Personally, I prefer to go to hawker center, cozy places where uncle and aunties are cooking. Because they've been cooking for years. They're cooking. It's them. I can feel that love. If you go to a 5-star restaurant, it's very cold, very distant. That you're eating just the food, but there's no love in it. That's me personally, right?
Mm.
So once a week, if you like going to 5-star and all, once a while go to uncle, auntie, thank them for the food. When you collect, tell them thank you from the bottom of their heart because they are cooking for you, right? So all these are things that you can do to improve your digestion because food will be
Mm.
digested in terms of love as well.
That's amazing to think about digesting your food with love. What about the point about before you feed yourself, do something first?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Again, when I was growing up, parents, whenever there's food, before they eat, so first they will thank. So just like the Christians would say, they have their prayer, the food, right? Our Father who art in heaven, right? So they are grateful for the food. The Jews, the Muslims, everyone will say their own prayers. So for us, Father will do is he'll take a small portion of the food and put it aside, right? So you put that food aside to say that's for the birds, that's for the animals and all. So the Indians will generally those living in a house will take some food and put it outside the house or something for birds or whatever to come and eat, right? So I do that. I started practicing it every morning just to put outside for the birds, and boy do they fight. But at least the birds are eating, right? So some even just plain rice or cooked rice, just put there in the morning. Feed somebody or feed an animal. um, the Indians, they have that column, the rice. Sometimes you see the traditional house, not the colorful one. The colorful are poisonous. The rice flour, they make patterns out of in their house. They make pattern. So initially they just used to put like a lump. Now they make into pattern, and this is for ants to come and eat, all the
Wow.
insects to come and eat. So it's rice flour for the animals and the insects and all to feed them as well. And instead of making it into a lump, you make it into a pattern. So that was meant for the purpose.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
this was the point that amazed me. I was like, what? It was a really interesting, challenging my perspective. And it also reminded me of how sometimes I see, I remember attending a birthday party before, and these are my good friends, and they're all they're Indian couple, and very close with the parents, and during the cake time, they were like feeding one another, right? Or taking turn to feed one another, and that was like so amazing and so heartwarming for me. So when I saw this point, that it brought me that memory of what I saw happen during that birthday celebration. So
Yeah,
wow, so get creative and feed somebody before you eat.
yes. Now, another point is, again, I think we are so used to watching TV when we eat. Don't, right? Because especially if you're watching a violent movie, right? You should concentrate on the food. If you're watching violent movie, you are activating the stress response in your body. Now, what stress response does is it thinks you're going to run away from a situation, and the blood, instead of your core organs in your stomach, it has to digest the food. It is all now moving towards your peripheral, your legs and your hands, because you have to run. So you don't have enough blood circulating in your stomach to actually work on what it's supposed to eat. So if you're eating a healthy food, oh, I got this from Jamie Oliver's restaurant and all those, the organic one, and then you're sitting and watching a violent movie and say, yes, yes, kill that person, kill that person. Oh, it's a healthy food. It's a healthy food. It's not going to work. Right? So a person needs to be very calm, very concentrated. So people tell me, Vasanthi, sometimes some of your advice are all too challenging, to yank. Then I say, okay, lah, if that's the case, watch a loving movie, watch a funny movie, watch a movie that will make you happy. That will the chick flick, the one that like, oh, so sweet, or you see animals and you go, oh, so sweet, and then you eat, right? If you want to do baby step, if you cannot, like they have Just for Laughs, that program, right? We When my father was bedridden, that's what we used to do. Put something very happy for him, because he's so used to watching TV. So he likes either that or listening to nice songs, and then he will eat. So those things were nourishing at the inner level, at the energy level.
Mm. Wow, that's a lot of really good tips that you have shared with us. And as you can see, most of the tips are really very simple, but given our modern lifestyle and habits, that is where the real challenge lies. Not in that the tips are difficult, but in how we're going to fit it into the way we're used to. So, what is to round everything up, Versanti? What is that one tip that you can give to everyone to move towards this ideal way of eating?
I would say baby step. Choose one. Choose one of the points I've given. See which one works easier. Try the easier one. Don't try and climb a steep mountain. A shallow, just a small peak one. Easy that you think, okay, I can practice this. So practice it for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever works for you. They say sometime 28 days is when your body will actually start accepting changes. Once you finish that, then go on to the next one. That means don't stop the first one, lah, right? So let's say I've given 10 suggestions and you think that the seventh suggestion is something you can try first. So try the seventh one for a week. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, where it becomes you. It becomes so natural. Then add on the eighth one or the fifth one that you think is the easier one. So whichever works for you, baby step, add, keep adding, and then get everyone in the family involved. So when everybody is involved, everyone is motivating, encouraging one another, that becomes easier.
Mm. Yes, I'm so glad that you brought in the family environment into context. I think if you're going to eat together, well, if you start doing things differently, you might be perceived as excluding other people. So I think it's, if possible, where possible, I think it's a good idea to bring in the family. Again, baby steps, I guess, for the family as well. But it's like still an activity that we do together.
Sure, definitely.
So I have put the summary, the key points for the Ayurveda rules for eating, and this is really good for you to take note of because these are tips that is regardless of your body type, every one of us can use these rules to support ourselves in holistic nutrition. So, what's your thought? Has this conversation challenge your paradigm of what it means to eat healthily, and has it challenged you to a point where you're feeling extremely uncomfortable, or are you at a space where you feel like, okay, this is all a little strange to me, but I'm willing to try? Or is it like a no, or is it like some of you has already switched off from the first and second rule, eat only when you are hungry? I think let's just take baby steps. I think it sounds challenging now because we have never tried on view eating in this paradigm before. But pick one, like Vasanthi has said, pick one that you think that it's reasonably doable for you, and if possible, bring in the family, create that supportive environment for yourself to make this into a habit. That will take time, that will take support from others as well. But most importantly, you have to persist on. So if you want to have a long and healthy life, the rules are very simple and it's been laid out for you. So just take the first baby step. Thank you, Brisanti. This is truly an enlightening session. I was looking forward to it because I was thinking it's going to be very interesting to see what reaction we're going to get for all this simple but pretty challenging rule for today's lifestyle. So, okay, so with that, at this point, I would like to share about an upcoming course that we have called the Stronger Self, where besides healthy, holistic living, I think we can also want to work on our character strength, building what's inside us and using it more and manifesting and showing up as our stronger self in the world, and also to work on our well-being using positive psychology. So here I'm going to show you a short 2 minutes video about the strongest self course. Okay, so there was an enriching 1 hour with Vasanthi learning about holistic nutrition. Thank you, Vasanthi. This is our third session together. I had so much fun with you. I'm kind of sad that it's already the third session.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do other events together.
Yes, we are definitely going to do that. So, audience, please stay tuned. We have more up our sleeves and we will let you know when the time is right. So, let's end our show on a high note with our superpower pose. Okay, Rasati is the expert now in the superpower pose. Thank you everyone for watching. To the next episode, be well and take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.